un espacio doméstico.
Hello and welcome back to Dark Static, a podcast where we discuss everything found footage and analog horror media. I'm your host, Alex Schiffer, and with me always is Zach.
Hello.
This week's episode, we're covering VHS Viral, the 2014 found footage film, the sequel to VHS 1 and 2. A little different this time. It didn't really get like a festival circuit this one. It kind of was just dumped on demand. That kind of says a lot about what it is. We'll get into our thoughts and everything. But before that, let's talk about some of the other films that came out in 2014. The setting VHS Viral in a context. What was it up against that year? Well, starting with some of the films that were surrounding it in the found footage sense. A lot of tough competition here. I'd say there's three big found footage films that also came out this year. Yeah, you know, that really compete with VHS Viral, and that would be well, for one, a movie that I think both of us are really excited to talk about in the future, which is Creep.
Yeah. Creep. Oh man, Creep was this year. Yeah. Okay.
Creep was 2014. I remember watching that for the first time together, and I was in love with it. But yeah, future episode. And there's a whole Creep TV show up now. I'm so shocked that they ever got to 3 movies and a TV show with that, with just running on that concept.
Yeah, right. They're getting so much mileage out of that.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happened. Other than that, there was As Above, So Below that year, which I actually saw not that long ago, and it was the first time I watched it, and that'll definitely be a show in the future as well. But have you ever seen As Above, So Below?
I haven't. My partner Teresa saw it. I remember her recommending that to me. She saw it like semi-recently, like a couple years ago, and was like, "Oh, this is actually like a fun little movie." So I've heard it's like surprisingly decent.
Yeah, I remember like at the time it was getting, it didn't really like, I remember seeing trailers for it back then, but it didn't really garner too much like hype or press or anything like that, and just kind of flew under the radar. And then I see it all the time popping up now as like people calling it like an underrated gem of a found footage film, just as a horror film. And I'm excited to cover that in the future because I think it could be a good episode. But
yeah, I do want to check it out.
But I see it come up. I see it pop up all the time now. Like, oh yeah, like when people are recommending found footage movies, they're saying As Above, So Below, which is interesting. I'm glad that movie's garnering a bit of a cult status. But speaking of that, there are, I'd say, 2 other movies worth talking about. One is The Taking of Deborah Logan, which I've seen before, and I definitely have thoughts about it. It's one I see recommended all the time. I'll leave it at that, but yeah, that's a weird one for me. I don't know about you. Did we watch that one?
That one is. We did watch that together.
Yeah.
That movie is like, I'm just gonna guess, one of the most popular modern found footage horror movies. Like that one really took off with people. Like everybody I know has seen that movie for some reason.
I see it on lists all the time. I see it. Yeah, I see it everywhere.
People who don't like those kinds of movies generally, for some reason, have seen Taking of Deborah Logan.
Yeah, really. Well, yeah, they see it on like most disturbing or like most surreal horror movie lists. That's where I see it pop up all the time, at least. Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, was also that year.
Yeah.
Which I've never seen that one.
I have. That was weirdly one where I skipped 4 because I just heard it was like abysmal or just like incredibly boring.
Uh-huh.
and ended up just somehow hopping to that. Maybe it was like the only thing that was kind of in theaters at the time. And I had heard it was decent. And that one actually does have some like decent moments, and there's things about the concept that's like takes place in like a lower class Latin borough.
Yeah.
Um, and it features characters that you normally don't really see featured in like those kind of movies, like Paranormal Activity, especially.
Yeah, especially
Which is usually
Paranormal
pretty
Activity, which
suburban,
has a
like
which
white suburban.
exactly. Yeah, we'll talk about when we get into the Paranormal Activity retrospective.
So there was some
We'll
like
talk
cool
about that
stuff
as a
there. Um, I also want to make sure we don't skip What We Do in the Shadows, which is
yeah.
I think that came out this year.
You know what? I'm still
Uh,
it did come out this year, yeah, and I'm still deciding whether or not we do mockumentaries like
right?
that.
Do we copy? Like, I mean, I feel like it's relevant, right?
It's sort of
Like it only
relevant, yeah.
exists because of these movies. It's doing a riff on these movies, right? In some
Sort of.
ways.
It is. I mean, mockumentary is its own thing that has its own history. I feel like is separate from found footage.
I guess it's more
I
so doing
think
a riff on
we
The
will
Office.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's more like like then what separates that from like The Office? But like is The Office found footage? Is Jackass found footage? Which I think we talked about last week. It's still something that
I think that's
I'm mending. I'm considering. Let us
whether
know.
or not we cover it. Easy recommend if you haven't seen
Oh,
What
a
We Do in the
thousand
Shadows.
percent.
Like
And the
that's a
TV show too.
ton of fun. Yeah.
The TV show is fantastic. I will also point out this is also the year that It Follows came out, which was probably the most popular,
It follows.
like the biggest horror sensation that is kind of
Yeah.
and it has been that way since then.
This is like I feel like firmly pre The Witch, pre the rise of A24 horror movies.
Yeah, where
Um,
does this sit? Because I mentioned last week Under the Skin, predates that as well. And that started a bit, but that kind of gained life on streaming when people started watching that. It Follows was like directly like it came out in theaters. People loved it. It was I feel like it spearheaded a horror movement.
yeah, I think that's exactly right because I do think follows. I saw that movie with my cousins and my brother, and we all walked out really liking it. And I don't think, actually, when I showed that same cousin, one of those same cousins, The Witch, their only response at the end of that movie was, "That was weird." And so like
Yeah, I
it
get that.
follows, I think, was accessible to. It follows towed the line like way more than a movie like Under the Skin, where it was of those kinds of movies. It was like a higher class, I guess, elevated horror, whatever they call it,
Yeah,
style movie. But at the same time, I still think it has way more mass appeal as a scary, effective monster movie
exactly. Yeah,
than a lot of those A24 movies do, and definitely Under the Skin, which is a lot more like slow burn, um, very plotting.
ambient, similar to The
I think
Witch.
still like a terrifying movie, but
Yeah,
way more
yeah.
ambient. It Follows has like
It
hard
follow.
cuts that are some of the just like visually scariest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. It Follows had more of a broader appeal, definitely, than those other films would garner. But I feel like since then, and we're talking about it now in 2025, and I feel like they're in the same kind of circle.
Under the Skin and It Follows.
And like the whole beginning of that sort of reinvention of horror, of indie horror.
Definitely. I noticed it with It Follows. I mean, Under the Skin was always there. I just didn't get
Mhm.
around to it much later. But I do see that as sort of marking the beginning of what is now called the elevated horror era.
Which is dumb.
Maybe it wasn't like exactly the first,
All
but it's close to it.
all horror is elevated because it's horror, and horror is the best film genre.
Yeah, it's better than every other.
Is better than every other film genre. It just is. Okay. I don't know who
Weird.
coined that. Yeah,
strangely
I don't know when that appeared.
classist connotations to it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I rarely
I guess it's
call anything.
useful as a term. There's a stylistic similarity.
Yeah, if you can't articulate it in any other way, if you can't like find yourself, find the right words
Right.
and going to that, I get that. Even if it's not totally accurate.
They're just this is art horror, basically, is what they're saying. It's like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
This is horror, but
like,
it's also good. And it's like, no. All horror
so
is
is
good.
every.
It's just, yeah. So what about
Yeah,
this
no,
is
actually, all horror.
prestige horror? That's also a thing that I see around too. Whatever.
Right. Then it gets messy when you're like, is Alien an elevated horror from like 1975 or whatever?
Elevated
But
in the sense that like
yeah.
it's one of the best movies ever made. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm with you there, buddy. Speaking of one of the best
Sure.
movies ever made, though, 2014, a last movie I want to talk about before we get into VHS Viral, The Babadook.
I thought you were going to bring up VHS.
No, unfortunately not,
The
Zach.
Babadook.
Unfortunately not.
Hell yeah.
No, 2014 was The Babadook, which is, to this day, I believe, to be one of my favorite horror movies of all time. That movie meant a lot to me when I saw it. It still does now. It is top 5 single favorite films of that decade, probably. Oh. I speak very highly of The Babadook, and if you want to kind of get a clue into what I love about horror, it's in that movie, and in some of the other movies we talked about. Like, I think if you understand why I speak highly of movies like The Babadook and the Blair Witch Project and the Outwaters and things like that. I think there's a similar thing. Maybe not the Outwaters. I think that's a special case. Skinamarink, more like. I think there's a special thing in common with all of those movies. And I love The Babadook so much. I own it. That's one of my favorite movies ever.
That movie has some like weird scenes of analog horror in it.
With the her like we're watching TV.
But,
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that weirded me out the most. The first time I watched the movie was with my mom, and it had like a similar effect on both of us, I think.
This is like a really strong year. Like this is
a
girl
really
walks
strong
home
year.
alone at night. That vampire. This is like this.
I forgot about that. Girl walks home alone
rules.
at night. There was some bad
Spring,
stuff.
which is like a lower budget horror movie, maybe mid-budget, you would call it. But those directors, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, I think.
Oh,
am I misremembering? Did they work on any of the VHS stuff
they
at
worked
any
on
point?
this one.
I don't think so.
Yeah, they did. They worked on this
They
one.
worked on this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Did the
Bonehead, okay, there's the connective tissue. Same year.
Bonestorm segment. Yes, same year. But yeah, no, when I see this year, 2014, it reminds me of some of the recent years we've been getting in horror, where I feel like every year now we're getting like a really solid slate of great horror movies. And that's been consistent since, I would say, the pandemic, honestly. Since 2020, we've been getting like really, really solid years of just like consistently good horror. This year's already getting off to a good start with, before this show, me and Zach were talking about Sinners. Both of us still haven't seen it. We're hearing great stuff about it. I can't wait to go to the theater and watch that. Also, Fly Low's new movies this year that I think already came out, called Ash.
Oh yeah,
I gotta watch that. And I heard that was really good as well. Flying Lotus also will come back in VHS in due time. He will also be
that's true. He will do a VHS.
He also will do a VHS in due time. Let's get to VHS Viral and our overall thoughts. Based on my tone, you can maybe assume what I think about this. I haven't seen this movie before doing this show, and I watched it twice.
Neither have I.
Yeah, and I watched it twice now. I was really, really worried about doing this episode because, I mean, we've talked about films negatively We both didn't like Blair Witch 2016 all that much, but there was redeeming qualities in it, and some redeeming qualities in it, but it didn't work as a film. I feel a similar way to this movie, but let me hear what you have to say about it first, Zach.
I think I had the same lead in. I think I had the same build up.
Yeah.
I'd heard this is the worst one. I was expecting, so first I said to myself, this is the worst one. Wow, that must be really bad because some of these VHS movies, like we talked about.
Well, you said in the last week's episode you didn't like the first one all that much when you first saw it. I think you liked it more since revisiting it, but you originally didn't like the first one all that much.
Yeah, the first one I originally did not like, and now I feel all right about it. I feel like as a total package, it's really uneven, but overall, I'm glad I saw it. There's really good bits in it. But given that was my like the foundation, it's like, okay, up till now, the worst one has been uneven. This is worse than uneven, so this is going to be from beginning to end just total garbage. And I didn't feel that way about it. Like,
yeah,
it's not good, but
no,
it's more than just this is total trash. I was surprised that I think this one weirdly has like the most effective. I mean, it's still not good, but it has the most interesting crime narrative. Am I wrong in saying that?
In my opinion, yes, this is the worst framing narrative. It has good things going for it, but it's not like nothing about it seems right at all.
No, it leaves you with a very weird, inconsistent tone that I didn't hate feeling that way. It was odd. The other ones have like some sort of through line of either being really, really seedy and about like grimy back alley, like the grimy back alleys of the world, or like, douchebags on the prowl, going from bar to bar lurking for women, or like the second one is, here is a classic type of monster and here's a twist on it. Mm-hmm. This one, the overriding theme is virality of video, I guess. But then sometimes it doesn't really stick to that. Like the short film about the time machine doesn't really connect to that in any way. But also the short film about the time machine, I think, is actually really funny.
No, it's definitely the high point of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the high point. I just thought it had a weird tone, but not in a way that I totally disliked. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was. I was confused. I'm not gonna lie, dog.
Same. I was really confused, and I wasn't confused in a way where I was like, "Man, I want to understand this," but it's, not in an enigmatic way. It was confusing, as in like, there's nothing to connect about VHS viral when things just start happening. It's just, you feel like there's no competency. When things just start happening in this film, I feel like they're just happening.
Yeah.
There's no broader like consensus or anything to the narrative, at least in the framing narrative, which I detested. I had like a sour taste in my mouth with, because I looked at it and I completely understood why this film was widely panned. And that sourness kind of ends when you get to the second segment, which is fine. But up till then, I was like the framing narrative plus the first segment, I was completely in like, I was in a mood. I was in a pretty, I rarely ever get in a mood. All I was thinking about was how much I hate doing this. I hate doing like, I would have done this, and this, but it's like when you're dealing with found footage, a genre that, again, I always praise for being very like DIY centric. Like, you can go and do it right now if you want to, on barely any budget. You just need a good idea, good concept, and you can shoot it to the best of your ability. So when I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about like, man, it's really interesting that they're doing this like like they're doing a whole movie about this car chase, basically.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting concept for found footage. It can be very immersive, but the way they do it, totally not immersive. It feels like it's on a certain drug and not a good one. It feels like it's a collection of scenes rather than a full thought out plot. The main character is a blah, like nothing. I talked about in the first VHS how I liked the concept of found footage as world building. This one is the most direct with that, and it just fails on every front with it. I just thought this was really bad. I thought it was not good up till a certain point. Then I thought it had good ideas, and then the ending also like came back to that sour note.
They never know how to end these frame narratives. Like, if this one had any concept beyond it's about how being on your phone is bad, then maybe it could have done something cool with this concept of the chasing this car that for some reason is mysteriously going around in circles on purpose throughout the city. Like, there's threads of a neat concept there that's almost a Junji Ito-esque.
You're giving it way too much credit with that one.
Yeah, no, I just mean like.
Well, I understand what you mean. Where it's small. Like, yeah, there is like they did have an idea where it's like the segments you're watching are bringing like a certain amount of madness to everyone around them, to a community already on the verge of madness. These videos just pushing that madness a little bit over the edge, and like if it went to like, okay, if you want it to be this simplistic concept of virality is bad and the phones are bad and recording things on your camera is bad, I'm down. Just take it there. Like, if the end of the movie is this intensification of what you've been seeing the whole movie, with this car chase that goes in circles and never ends. That's what I mean by Junji Ito. Like, if they had pushed it to an Ito level of like, okay, everyone in the city is just like trying to get footage of this thing and is like getting run over or falling off bridges and like turning into mush, and there's just like a track of gore around the city where this thing just runs down these same streets as people come out of their houses to record this car chase that just inevitably ends up killing them. That's my big issue. That is my big issue with all of this. This framing narrative has too big of a scale. If it was brought down and like more concise, more confined, those ideas might have been way more realized. But since we cut, like, during this framing narrative, we cut to like different perspectives that aren't the main characters filming stuff, and I don't know why like they bring so many different, like, I know why, like it's fine to attempt, but I think it just weakens everything. I think it weakens just the overall thesis of the film. Like, everything the film is trying to do is so weighted down by just being like stretched out, I
think what's frustrating is you can see the threads. That's why I say this movie fails, is mostly bad, but is kind of confusing, because if they had pulled off this concept, which I do give them credit for, like, getting halfway there, it would have actually have been a really cool, tight. Yeah, because there's things where it's like you can see the threads of, okay, it's cool that all of the short films, like the segments, seem to be more West Coast focus, which
Yeah,
actually
that was
all
interesting.
kind of like, to my mind, that fits with the theme, that fits with the concept of, West Coast culture has this, especially Hollywood, LA, there is this association with the media industry, which is associated with the like vapidness of commercialization, advertisements, social media, all of that stuff. And
Hmm.
LA is seen as a hub of that kind of stuff. LA, San Francisco, I mean,
SoCal.
Nevada having a huge gambling center in it. Like, there's a lot of problems with places in the West, like the big hubs of the West Coast,
Yeah.
that are connected to, preying on people in these ways. It's the disjointed nature of these movies. Like, they just can't connect. They just don't have, or at least it feels like they don't have that communication between their filmmakers in that way to outline a plan and then say, this is what this movie is about, stick within these limits. And maybe they don't want to do that because then
No.
it's less fun for them as filmmakers.
Well, it's funny because
But
there isn't so the main difference between this film and the other two is that this film has 3 segments. It's a lot shorter, and you think like, oh, they must be like way more realized. Well, there was supposed to be 4, and they cut one because that segment they didn't feel like fit with the overall theme of the film.
oh
And
yeah,
that segment is actually included in the DVD, the physical version, which I actually
that's
talked about
weird.
last week as something that they should do. They actually did it.
Yeah, yeah, which makes this, that also makes this movie one segment shorter than they're each of them are getting shorter than the last in terms of, maybe not shorter, but they each have one less segment than the last. I would guess this one is shorter than VHS 2.
It's shorter,
It
yeah.
felt shorter.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank God.
Thank Jesus.
I was just so I was so down on it because I just hate it when a film feels like it has something and then it just plods along, and then really like not like they're like yeah, just like these really out of place things start to happen that semi. This movie is lame.
Yeah.
It's really uncool. It's really uncool. And there's also like there's a scene early on when a police officer gets their like arm ripped off by the car and it like lands in front of the main character, and yeah, there's weird shit in this movie, and not weird in a good way. I hate it when it's just like things happening, which VHS Viral has way too much of. Although when we get into the back half of this movie, I think we'll both speak a lot more positively about this film, but none of this, yeah, it just, most of it wasn't working for me. And let's get into the specifics about what exactly,
Yeah.
more specific into our thoughts about
Let's
VHS
survive
Viral.
this one.
Oh yeah. Before we do that, I'm going to read the intro from Letterboxd. I posted a clip today about on TikTok of us reading the last plot summary from Letterboxd about VHS 2, and it was like went way harder than it had any right to. So let's see if this is the same. Yeah. Let's see if we get the same here. VHS Viral. Mayhem goes viral as the streets of Los Angeles overflow with camera-wielding gawkers seeking to capture images of a bizarre police pursuit. The same people who sought to exploit the suffering of others for amusement on the internet become the stars of a gruesome viral video from which no one gets out alive. Already from there, like a lot of things that when you tell people what this film is about, I feel like people will think it's interesting, but when you watch it, you're like, oh, almost none of that happens.
No, it does not translate.
Not at all. Yeah, so the framing narrative is directed by Marcel Sarmiento. He's done a few things. He's done things for Blumhouse. He directed a segment for the ABCs of Death. His filmography isn't that extensive. There's a movie called Dead Girl, Totem. He directed. And
Dead Girl is like,
oh, you've seen that?
oh, I've seen like pieces of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a hell of a thing. Dead Girl.
that's one hell of a thing. I tell you what.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that to anybody in my life, but
He's also worked on.
Noah Segan's in it.
He's also worked on some VR projects for PlayStation and MetaQuest. I see like the Exorcist Legion VR, Twilight Zone VR. That's interesting.
Twilight Zone, yeah.
But yeah, he directed the framing narrative. It's also written by him and two other guys, T.J. Simfel and David White. This main narrative consists of it's about this filmmaker named Kevin, and he's filming his girlfriend. It's funny because he's I think they're both like they're supposed to be teenagers, and he's filming his girlfriend like it's like the first woman he's ever met, or the first woman he's like ever dated. He's like, oh, can you guys believe this? But yeah, he's a amateur filmmaker. He's obsessed with viral fame. He's trying to capture just like all the exciting footage in his life, as you know, one his age might, as one amateur filmmaker might. As I keep saying, like, people nowadays just record everything, and I think that it's no longer an unrealistic thing to be like, why are people still filming all these heinous acts that we see in found footage horror movies? And it's like, well, I've seen a lot of what people film in real life too, so it makes sense to me. The thing that I immediately dislike about this framing narrative is that there's just too many glitch effects, and stop it. We don't need that many glitch effects. We can just shoot footage and it can be scary. It can just be scary because it's found footage. We don't need glitch effects being like scary. That's what first set me off about this whole framing narrative.
I was immediately hit by how much this was giving dead wife footage.
Yeah, like in a noir film. And he's like a detective.
Which is I mean, just give that. Well, maybe don't give that a Google search. Who knows what it'll come up with? But that's definitely like a trope that people have been making fun of for the last few years. So just like,
listeners, don't Google dead wife footage.
just of like the amount of movies where some male character is looking at footage of his missing or dead wife, and it is always like a woman under the bed.
It starts with him staring at a photograph.
Don't record me. What are you doing?
On the beach. She's in like a white dress, slow motion, running around. Cutting back to him like at his desk with all that. He's only lit by like a lamp. He's got like a bottle of whiskey in his hand. Photograph of her in the other. Yeah, no, that's kind of what this looks like. But yeah, no, the glitching effects I hate, and that set me off. I did get a little interested in it when there was apparently this one quick scene. There's this little detail that he's like living with some guardian, and I think it's insinuated that they're abusing him. This is where things start to kind of fit for me. Like, okay, we're actually painting a scene, but we don't. It goes away immediately. We never go back to it. It's just there, which it's funny. Like I love dissecting details from these films like that, because they are the things that kind of bring me into their world and like immerse me. But when the film just like forgets about them, that bothers me. Anyway, we cut to the night where this whole police chase starts to erupt, and there's all this news footage. It's going through LA. At first I thought it was an ambulance, but it's an ice cream truck, and that becomes very apparent in a bit because obviously there's the music and everything, but it didn't look like. I don't know what ice cream truck looks like that. At least not around me. Ice cream trucks don't look like that. You usually get like your Mr. Frosties and whatnot, and those are a very specific kind of ice cream truck. This is not an ice cream truck that I've seen. Even in like cartoons, I've never seen ice cream trucks that look like this. This is a van that has ice cream music playing.
Yeah. It just does. I guess to give it that Pied Piper kind of feel.
Yeah. You're just you have Pied Piper in your head because of the weapons footage.
No, maybe that's why that was in my head, because of weapons.
Yeah.
No, I just jumped to that. The Pied Piper is kind of always a concept that's in the back of my brain at any given moment in time. But, no, I guess I was just saying that because I know the course in the movie is that it's like luring people most of the time, and so I don't know. I just think of ice cream music as like you associate that with like
chaos,
attracting children.
Oh yeah.
To little space. It is weird that like he ends up making this big deal out of this chase. Like
I'm gonna go film it
in 2014.
It's gonna go viral.
Was this a big deal? Like, yeah, I guess viral? Like things still did go viral in 2014.
This is like prime Vine era.
Yeah,
I think
Vine was
maybe
still
it's the
around,
end of
right?
Vine.
2014. I think it's the end of Vine. I think Vine might be dead by now.
Maybe.
But I think things still went viral on like Twitter and stuff. But why would footage of a car chase that you captured go viral for you? Unless I guess somebody got hurt.
It's like Nightcrawler stuff, I guess. Like this footage was shot by this guy.
I guess that's true. And I guess like
then you bank
people.
And then just print money.
Yeah, question mark.
Profit.
I guess I can buy that somebody would race outside to capture this, thinking that they were going to get used. But the way he's also like, this could be it for us, babe. It's so funny.
This could be our big break.
Yeah, like what? How?
I know,
are you monetizing this? You're gonna make.
Well, that's the thing.
You're gonna make T-shirts. What do you mean?
He's gonna open up a Patreon where he sells additional footage of this one car chase.
Yeah.
Releases little bits. $5 a month will get you a little.
You get bonus minutes.
Yeah.
This was it going down 51st.
Yeah. Well, maybe it goes down your street next. That's the thing where it's like things happen way too quickly. So like I pointed out last time in VHS 2 where it's like the framing narrative, although it wasn't perfect, like it at least like took its time to build, and it had like this like quiet atmosphere to it, and it used the found footage like format to like heighten it a bit, you know, whereas like the found footage format isn't being used to heighten anything in this found footage segment, which sucks because I mean most of this framing narrative has to do with Kevin on a bike, and like that can be interesting being filmed, but the way it's filmed I don't like, and I don't find it very enthralling. But anyway, everything descends into chaos. There's like a crossing guard outside that's trying to stop them from going to wherever they're, you know, trying to go. And what ends up happening is Kevin's phone starts glitching, and this happens throughout the film with his phone glitching. People's phones start to glitch in other places as well. You get a sense that, you know, this isn't just happening to him, it's happening to everyone. His girlfriend kind of just wanders off, and the ice cream truck comes and she gets into it and it leaves. While that happens, while that's happening, as the truck is speeding past, it takes, as I said, I mentioned this before, but it takes off a guy's arm and it lands in front of Kevin, and it's a CGI arm and it looks really bad. So Kevin starts following this truck, and we eventually get to our first segment here. I do want to point out, while the screen on his phone is glitching, I don't remember if it's before the first segment starts or it's after the first segment, but when his screen is glitching, it shows Lily from the Amateur Night segment in his phone. And I think also a scene from Safe Haven, which is funny because it's like, hey, those are the two best segments that we've seen. Remember those? Those are great.
Wait, on his phone you can catch
Lily is definitely
which ones?
on it. Amateur Night, Lily from Amateur Night, and then Safe Haven as well.
Really?
Can be seen on his phone. It's funny. It's like, the two best segments. You're like, remember that? I'm like, yeah, I do. I really would rather.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
I wish there was more of that.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I didn't get this at first. Are these segments being played on his phone? Well, how are we getting these segments?
Yeah, that's the other thing that feels messy about the movie, is it feels like it's trying to communicate something about the way that this footage is being shown that doesn't really come through, because it's just cutting to a new segment.
Yeah.
Or it will cut to a new segment each time it goes to a new short. And you don't get the sense that like the main character or anyone in the movie is watching this footage. There's no moment where you see
no one reacts
somebody
to it. Yeah.
Which is what happens in the original movies, that
in both of them.
Somebody puts in a VHS tape, watches something, and then it ends and they go, huh, that was fucked up.
Yeah,
and then
that's the thing, right? Like,
about, not watching another one.
The main concept is like, as they watch the films, they progressively get more mad. They just go crazy because the footage it shouldn't exist. But here it's like the footage that you're seeing, the segments, no matter the quality of them, connect to a broader narrative, and they just don't have an effect, and it feels more just like none of this feels like a complete film at all. It just feels like stuff being thrown at a wall.
I kept waiting for them to show like video footage of, or a live feed of the kid that they were looking for with the missing jaw at the end of the second one, like to come to life on a screen on everybody's phones or something and go, I uploaded all the footage or something like that, and now you're all going to watch it. Like anything to kind of... It
happens at the end, but like not in sequence,
Does he show up at the end?
No.
Or it's just they do that in general?
They upload the film at the end. They upload the films where we've been watching.
Right. Which is strange. It feels like the effect of the VHS tapes, or at least what would normally be the effect of the VHS tapes, is already happening throughout the movie.
Yeah.
But you're just not seeing the connective tissue of people watching it. It's literally all that's missing is there's already a scene of somebody staring at their phone and like their nose bleeding or something like that.
Yeah.
Literally all it's missing is just for one of those segments to pull out from somebody's phone and for them to go, huh? What? Like, and seem a little dazed. And I would be like, okay, got it. I understand what's going on now. But it doesn't spend enough time on any one thing for you to even really get a sense of, are some of the events of this frame narrative being caused by the VHS tapes? Are they being caused by the chase? Are they being caused by anything supernatural at all? Or are they just random vignettes of a guy accidentally falling off of a bridge?
Exactly.
Or is that like supernaturally, is there a supernatural effect there to what goes on at this barbecue or whatever? I can't tell because I don't think the film really knows.
The film doesn't know.
I don't think it has an answer.
No, it doesn't have. I don't think it has an answer. Also, the film series is called VHS. There's no one watches VHS tapes in this movie. What's that about?
What's up with that can? Yeah.
What the fuck? It's VHS.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole...
There's not a single VHS tape in this whole movie.
No, there isn't. That's why I think
that's actually
most of the film
fucked up.
doesn't...
Now
It all goes back to that, honestly. I think that's where they first went wrong with this whole film.
Wait a minute. Hold on. The movies... Wow. You really just nailed it right there.
I think I did.
It's called VHS Viral. That don't even make no goddamn sense. How a VHS tape gonna go viral? What? Wow, I never thought about the dissonance there.
That's just.
I mean, I get they were trying to thread the needle, but I get it. It's VHS, but this one's modern.
We get to the first segment, Dante the Great. It's directed by Greg Bishop. This particular segment is structurally the most different from probably every other VHS segment that we've seen so far, and I don't really know if they... I don't remember if they go back to the like documentary style, but this is... Dante the Great is a full-on like mockumentary. Is it a mockumentary if it's not a comedy? Or doesn't have comedic elements?
Yeah, is it a mockumentary?
I mean, part of this segment is funny, but not in the way that...
Yeah, it's intentionally funny, right?
No, I don't think it is. This is played way too straight.
Alex, that's impossible.
Funny. It's not impossible.
No way.
I wasn't laughing. I wasn't laughing. Did you know that Simpsons joke where he's like, didn't we teach you anything didn't we teach you anything taking you to go see those Police Academy movies? I didn't hear anyone else laughing.
Damn. That's a random burn.
Yeah. But yeah, Dante the Great.
It's tongue in cheek.
Did you like this segment?
No.
Yeah, neither did I. I don't know what we're... I thought it was really bad.
What are you fighting for?
Yeah, I don't know where you're running from.
Why?
Yeah, I thought this is probably the worst VHS segment in the entire franchise, I believe. Having not seen Beyond. I think this is really like this is like amateur hour bad. And let's get into why. Unless you have anything else
I guess I'll clarify. I don't think it's the worst one ever, but it is the worst for a VHS movie. Like, it doesn't feel like it understood the assignment.
No, it feels really out of place.
It feels very out of place.
Well, there are only 3. Well, the framing narrative also doesn't feel like a VHS movie to me, and this one doesn't.
It's closer, at least.
It's closer.
This just isn't even like attempting to be scary.
Aside from
like a
literally
weird
like
action movie.
Yeah. Oh God, the fight. There's a magic fight. Yeah, let's get into Dante the Great. It's told in this documentary style, and it starts out kind of promising because we get this interrogation room camera of a woman sitting in an interrogation room, and it's the like security camera in the corner. And I love the idea of a whole found footage movie or a segment that's filmed like that. I haven't seen one like that, but I've seen like interrogation room camera videos online, and they are naturally unnerving. So I thought when this segment started that that's what this was going to be, but it's not. It kind of just like breaks the usual found footage structure here, and we go into a whole documentary. The segment's about a man named Dante. He's a failed magician. You know, he's kind of not a schlub, but he's like a kind of white trash a bit. I think he lives in a trailer park, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly. What happens is he finds this cloak, and this cloak is Harry Houdini's cloak, which turns out to be actually magic. And he kind of taps into this power, and he's able to blow up as a magician, like the classical kind of magician, like Vegas show and mad tricks, magic tricks and card tricks and all that. But he's using this cloak now to do
Yeah.
actual magic.
Loads of audience interaction.
Yeah, yeah. There's the one image I will say that I liked is there is footage. One of the few parts that is like a bystander filming something is someone's filming his show, and like people are being like just raised into the air and floating around. I thought that was
levitated
cool.
out of their
Like
seats.
levitating, yeah, out of their seats. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
And like as cool as this kind of thing can be, I also like that concept. Like, okay, anything Harry Houdini and like occult shit is awesome.
Yeah, like I could see this having been
Tier.
goofy, successful, kind of cheesy, blocky horror short, and like, yeah, I just tonally where it goes doesn't
Oh yeah, because we get into
seem interesting.
yeah. So yeah, he becomes super famous, and we're getting like talking head segments with him, and it's just nothing fits. It doesn't make aesthetic sense with what we know from this franchise. And it's okay to try something different, and I appreciate that, and try to sell it that way. In future VHS segments, they will do that, but they'll do it a lot more successfully than this. These movies don't have a giant budget, but it really shows here when your segment is about magic, and that will lead to like using a lot of special effects, and it doesn't look good at all. But yeah, what ends up happening is he tries he's showing off all these tricks. There are parts where Dante is in like his like little magic room, and it's just him and the camera, and like him trying stuff with the cloak, and that stuff had the potential to be like a bit interesting if maybe the whole segment was that like he had this cloak and he was like tapping into dark powers and it was like fucking with his mind. That's where I would have preferred that's where they went, instead of this like schlocky magic star that's in over his head, which this is so like student film brained, this segment. It feels like you're watching a student film for a bit of it.
Yeah, yes, that's a perfect analogy. It feels like a student film thing. It's more about the execution of the visual effects and an excuse for the visual effects than like anything else.
It's then revealed that the cloak he's been using, it kind of takes a hold of his mind, and he starts to, people around him start to disappear, like the women. What do they call they're not escorts.
His like assistants?
His assistants, yes.
Such a more basic word for that.
I know. I don't know.
You overshot it.
I overshot it bad. His he has assistants that start to go missing. There's all this stuff about and like a police investigation going on surrounding him, but they can't find him. Or they can never catch him because he does crazy tricks to get him. Like, oh my god, the scene where this is where I was like, fuck you. Like for this entire segment was when he was getting arrested initially, and he gets led to the cop car, and then he's in the car, but then he does like waves his hands, and then he's outside of the cop car. And the police officer is in the cop car and he's handcuffed, and it's like, and like everyone's like applauding, and it's like, go get him. Like,
honestly though, I think people would in Vegas would assume that was part of the.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, No, that part I don't have a
Yeah,
problem with. It's just like it's so silly.
it is really silly.
It's so silly. But we don't just get Dante's point of view. We also get the woman at the beginning who was one of his assistants, and she ultimately discovers what he's been up to. Her name's Scarlet. She breaks into Dante's like little basement lair thing, and she discovers all these VHS recordings of all the murders and rituals that have been going on. So this is the only part of this movie where tapes are found and watched. By the way,
Oh yeah, you're right.
like
That's
the
a
whole
really
idea
good
of
point.
like the entire like setup of this series, the
Like the series, like the whole thing.
whole thing.
Yeah.
So then we get to the final confrontation, which is so exhausting to look at with my eyes. Scarlet confronts Dante, and they have a magic battle. First,
Yeah.
first he's being raided by the cops, and he's using the cloak to basically just like murder them all and do these tricks. And sometimes it's it's pretty. No, it's not. None of it's cool. None of it's cool.
Well, I was gonna attempt to give some
Some chops, some props
like, yeah, I mean, like
for trying it.
some of the concepts, some of the like, in like a film student and like like a really cool Marvel movie kind of way, like
Ugh.
they're
CIA
they're pulling
approved,
off
you mean?
some fun concept. Yeah, like in a CIA,
And a CIA approved
military
kinda,
has its
kinda
final
cool.
review
Yeah.
of any and all scripts sort of way. It's kind of cool like that.
I worked on
Yeah, there's
like a magic. I worked on like a movie about magicians once that was kind of like this.
What was that?
That was a film I worked on back in college, of course. And it was, I mean, I don't know if it ever saw the light of day. I worked on it, but and it reminded me of this because it had the same magician showman discovers magic, and they use it to become famous, that type of thing.
Traded the deal with the devil, sell your soul to get good at jazz. I worked on some films where we used movie magic.
That's right. Yeah. And really all movies are magic if you think about it.
Really?
Aren't all movies magic?
Isn't cinema
magical? If you only watch this, you might think this isn't cinema, by the way. The cinema is a different. This is
Yeah, we reserve the word cinema.
Cinema is not, for the real ones.
There's fun half seconds where somebody has to outmaneuver another person, and then they do an interesting little move. The way he kills the soldiers is kind of funny.
The way he like flails his arms around like ha ha. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
it's so stupid. And the part especially where he like he's pretending like he's getting shot, but he's actually one of the other like masked guards, and he like reveals himself. I was like, shut up. I hate this.
That was funny.
I hate this so much. Yeah, no, I did laugh. I can promise you. I promise you that.
Because that was entirely unnecessary on his part. Like that was just for the spectacle of it.
Just
like
for
the
good of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still a magician. God damn it. Yeah, so he kills all these fools.
Kills
and then
all
they
these
have a
fools.
fight.
They have a fight. Him and Scarlet have a fight. This is where it gets like super ridiculous. I mean, if it wasn't ridiculous before, like this is where it gets super ridiculous. Remember where they're like fighting on the wall. By the way, it's no one shooting this. This is all just we're not found footage anymore.
Oh yes, I had that thought too.
Yeah. There's multiple camera angles now, and it's like who's recording this? So we're just out of found footage.
Thought, when he was being attacked by the pigs, I thought that maybe it was body cam footage
That would have been way cooler.
But
That would have been a maybe more convincing way to do this.
yeah, and you could have really sold like the horrific nature of
Yeah.
how he was just like slaughtering them.
Instead of
Um,
pretending to be like cinematic, you know.
yeah, like it's Doctor Strange. Um,
Do you remember
yeah,
what did you watch Legion?
I've seen a good deal of Legion. I think I made it to like season 2 of Legion.
Okay, do you remember this is in season 1 then where he's breaking into like the government complex and
Yes.
they go there later and see like the aftermath of like what he did. And he's also like under mind control of like a greater being. And they go to the security cam footage and he's doing like comical like magician shit, but everyone's like getting fucked up.
Yeah.
It's odd. That's how they should have done this.
Yeah.
That's 100%
He
how they
thinks
should
he
have done
looks
this.
cooler
Yeah.
than he is.
And that's
But he still
actually
has the
found
power.
footage.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because they're
that would
looking
have
at
been
security
yeah,
cams.
that would have been
So go watch
I like
Legion.
that.
Legion's a sick
Yeah,
show.
Legion's pretty great.
Legion was sick.
Yeah, they could have done that. They could have done the body cam. They could have like stuck to the concept of the found footage and not abandoned it.
This is why I am
Or-
kind of not to get too much into another film, but this is why I'm not dreading, but like apprehensive about doing. Not, well, I mean, we'll do it, but this is why I'm like kind of dreading doing Chronicle.
Oh,
Chronicle's more found footage
yeah.
than this, but like I remember the end of
Yeah.
Chronicle being like, we're not doing that found footage stuff anymore. This is a movie now. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, like they keep it literally found footage, but he's like recording himself with the camera, but from like a cinematic angle, like a mile away.
Yeah. I mean, that movie's better than this segment, which is awful. But
Oh, definitely, definitely.
but yeah, that's what it kind of reminds. It's the same like taste in my mouth. Ultimately, Scarlet defeats Dante. She like tricks the cloak into turning on Dante, and it consumes him, I believe.
Yeah, it just eats him.
So after that's all done for, Scarlet, she's like recording one last interview on her computer, and the cloak magically appears, just like on her like door hanger, and she approaches it, and two giant hands come out and grab her, and then it ends. Maybe that was something that they could have done, that they could have expanded on.
Oh, that's a thing.
That's a thing. See, like they had ideas here that I like. Like there's a monster in Harry Houdini's cloak. Do something with that. That's sick. But yeah, I don't know why they chose to focus on this. It's really like the main guy and all his like silly shtick that brings this so down for me.
Yeah, it's tough to buy. It's not like that actor is bad or anything.
No, he wasn't bad.
He's doing a good job at the role he's been given. But I don't know, there's just something about the concept that's so unserious that it plays it so straight, but it's also not that funny. So
No,
it just
it's
ends
not
up
funny at
being
all.
weirdly this in between jumble of no, it feels like a student film. Man, it reminds me a lot of like the early like 2010, late 2000s era like YouTube short film ecosystem.
Goku versus Superman or some shit like that.
Uh, yes. Or just like lots of special effects focused.
Yeah, people just like
Short
trying
films.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's the main purpose of that. Like yeah, DIY. Like yeah, like I used to watch tons of YouTube videos of just like people trying to do their best lightsaber duels.
Yeah. Yes.
That's what
Yeah.
that's what this reminded me of.
Well, then there's like the Daniels got their start.
Right.
The directors of Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like doing that kind of short film work. And they also had these like heavy special effects or visual effects based, I guess both, but like heavy focus on effects work in their short films. But then they always married it with some emotional through line that usually ended up being like completely transcendent for no reason. Um, and it was usually
'Cause
about the
they have
dumbest
talent.
thing. Yeah, yeah. They had immense talent.
Mhm.
But they never lost sight of like what the story was or like what they were trying to do. Yeah,
Well, they just had like a solid
this
basis for, even if they were just trying stuff, like they were trying to hone in on the craft of filmmaking, where this is just like, I don't know, just amateur hour stuff.
yeah, and like all the like I don't want to knock all the VFX work and all of that. I'm not saying this short film looked like it was easy to make. Like it's
No,
not
no,
amateur hour in that way. It's just
but it feels
because
like that
if
when you
you've worked
watch it.
on any kind of film, you know it's all hard.
Yeah,
But
everything's hard. Just thinking about anything you're doing is the hardest part.
yeah, but from a storytelling perspective,
Working
it's like
with
I don't
people
really
is
get
hard. Like,
yeah, just being around
just being
other human
around other
beings
filmmakers
like
is
a
the toughest.
nightmare.
Is a nightmare.
Every time I have to breathe the same air as somebody else, it makes me want to rip my skin off. Anyway.
Hell yeah, dude. Um, but yeah, anyway, that's Dante the Great. We return to the vicious circles framing narrative, where we see Kevin is still trying to chase down this truck, and there's some other bystanders that try to get in on it too. There's these teenagers that also attempt to get the same viral fame that he's trying to get, and they start chasing the truck as well, and they come to this bridge, and one of them starts to get in this sort of trance, and his nose starts to bleed, which is the only thing that connects any of these films to the other two. And
Yeah.
but again, like it was never like totally clear, like, are they watching segments on their phone? Like, how is it fucking with them exactly?
That's what made me think there was going to be some connection to the events of two. Like, oh my, not that that's anything I want. I don't need everything to be connected, but it did seem like they were leaning into that or
Well,
some larger idea.
yeah. Well, the only thing is like
Connectivity.
the only thing that needs to have like, that they try, well, because they try to have the connective tissue of watching the tapes makes you mad, which is what they're trying to do here, but it's just never communicated as clearly as the other two films. If this film was just like a segment and like the framing narrative, and then we saw segments in between, I can buy that. But the at least like trying to make it all connected is what brings it down, because it's not communicated in any like meaningful way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. After this, another teenager, he slips and falls from the bridge. When he
That part's really funny, dude.
when he gets too close to the edge, yeah, another vehicle, when he splats on the ground and runs over him.
I think somebody warns him and he like tells him to shut up or something.
Yeah.
And then
Shut up, dude.
he immediately eats shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
This movie is way more cynical than the other two, with just like
yeah.
the like absolute no regard for like killing characters. I mean, we don't meet these guys. Like we don't know these, like these are just like teenagers. But like it seems like the film has no regard for life.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, that's true. Yeah. The other ones had more build up.
Yeah.
This I feel like that's like destined to be the problem with anything like this that's this out of touch with like modern technology and youth culture and the internet, is that it's always just demonizing the technology.
Exactly.
And is essentially just saying people are stupid.
Yeah, it's
for
the
using
laziest criticism of it. Where it never gets to a root problem. It's just like, you kids shouldn't be doing that. You should be, I don't fucking know, playing football, or
Yeah, you should be. Yeah,
you should be drinking yourself stupid and working 8 hours a day at some bullshit company.
Yeah, drink yourself stupid to forget the pain of how shitty your job was.
You should be an alcoholic like the
Um,
rest of us.
um, millennials are killing the alcohol industry. Um, I think that's Gen Zers actually.
I
Um,
believe it.
but yeah, like when the problem is like this is a tool just like anything else, and there's definitely a shit ton of problems with it, but it's like the commercialization of the thing and how the algorithm that's been created and honed by a bunch of companies to make people hate each other is
That is too much for this movie to handle.
right, yeah,
It's
which is
way
why it
too
shouldn't have.
much for this movie to handle.
And you know what? That's not my problem because they chose this subject matter. So now it's on them to figure out
Exactly. There
how
is,
to say something of any substance.
yeah, I mean, it's called VHS viral, and virality is a whole subject that can be tackled in multiple different ways. And this movie's not interested in any of it.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Not at all. This next part was equally baffling to me when Kevin's hailed by another group of cyclists and they pursue the truck and one of them gets stuck on it and he like gets road burn until his leg is just like mangled.
Yeah, it just turns
Again,
into
like no regard.
Swiss cheese.
Swiss cheese, yeah.
Is it bad that I like this part? I actually kind of like. I was like, finally,
It came out of nowhere.
moment of something.
Yeah, some red.
Yeah, some
All right,
red.
some general gore I can mildly enjoy because I generally like splatter horror and shit. But yeah, that's something to a first person point of view of just getting your legs grinded into cement.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I'll give it to you. That part does stick out in my head. Like that is an interesting visual to do with found footage horror.
And I think is somebody holding on to him? That was my impression. Is you get a brief shot that somebody in the van is actually like. There's for a flash of a second you see like an arm holding on to him.
I don't remember that. Because when we do see the
wrong.
truck at the end, there's just severed hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah, maybe he's just stuck on it.
We then just cut straight into the next segment, and oh look, it's a movie starting, like a pretty interesting movie starting now. Because we get Parallel Monsters, which is the second segment, and this one's directed by Nacho Vigalondo, and I can speak for myself here. I think you share common sentiment. I really like this guy, and I was really excited to watch, see what he could do. Because what I was hearing about this movie is like, oh, there's one segment that's directed by him that is actually pretty good. And I was like, okay, yeah, that might be worth it. And in my opinion, I think if you were to watch VHS Viral, this would be the reason to watch it. Because this segment is genuinely very, very good. And if you don't know who Nacho Vigalondo is, he directed a couple of pretty, I mean, he's a Spanish filmmaker. He's got some solid features under his belt. Films that I've seen a few times before. Time Crimes is one of my favorites. I really love Time Crimes. Open Windows is
love Time Crimes.
Yeah, Time Crimes is great. And then there's Open Windows, which is a Elijah Wood screen life movie that's not bad. We might cover it on the show. And then he made Colossal in 2016, and Colossal was my favorite film of that year. I love that movie.
Favorite? Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good pick.
Colossal was my favorite movie that year. I really like it. If you haven't seen Colossal, go watch. It's Anne Hathaway, kind of a monster. It's one of those. It's kind of a monster movie.
Sort of.
Yeah, it's more linked to like you understand what's going on right away. Like nothing's like literal. Like there's not a literal monster. It's
it
good.
goes off
Watch it.
but there kind of is at the same time. It
Yeah,
goes off of
yeah.
like fairy tale logic. Anne Hathaway is a giant monster. It's
But not
uh
in that. Yeah, watch. Yeah, Colossal's great. That's all I'll say.
well speaking of time crimes, this short film feels like time crimes in some
Exactly. Yes.
aspects.
He like sci-fi
Uh
is his thing. Like low like this kind of like high concept sci-fi is very like is very much his thing.
he likes character studies
Yeah.
through fairy tale sci-fi logic.
Yeah. I'll get to what I love most about this segment in a bit. The more I think about it, the more I really, really like it. And like VHS Viral, if this was like a safe haven situation where it's like the majority of this film is this one segment, I'd be like, oh yeah, VHS Viral, it's pretty good. There's some nonsense, but you know, it's got this and it's great. But you know, it this is the length that it should be. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's dive into it because there's a lot to talk about here. So, Parallel Monsters is about this Spanish inventor. His name is Alfonso, and he's in his basement working on a project, and it reveals it to be this interdimensional portal. We see like these, this doorway that he's built, this frame of a doorway. He activates it, and this portal opens, and immediately he sees himself looking right back at him. This is all done with a camcorder, by the way. Like it's like you're seeing his like test footage, basically, is what it's set up to be. A really convincing framing device for this specific narrative. It's really creative. I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. They agree to go into their dimensions to see what's different. They both bring cameras through the portal, and they trade places. Now, what ends up happening is
Crazy sentence.
what?
Just like, how are you gonna follow this
I
up?
know. How am I going to?
So what happens?
Yeah, like thing I like about this particular segment is that it doesn't show you everything right away. You're trying to figure out what is different about these universes, at least from the main Alfonso's perspective. What is different about this particular universe? And there's just small things at first. You're like, okay, that photograph is different, but not sure what it's depicting. People are just acting a little strange at first. This is the perfect short sci-fi story. Like if you were reading a sci-fi novella, or even like an episode of The Twilight Zone, honestly, that's kind of what this feels like. And you get a sense right away that Nacho Vigalondo has like this meticulous pacing, and he knows when to give you just enough, and then to just make your mind race, which is so effective in this segment. The real Alfonso goes upstairs. He hears noises going on. The first thing he notices is this framed photo on the wall. And when we cut to the other Alfonso's point of view and what he's filming, there's also a photo on the wall, but it's something different. In the regular universe, there's just a photo of Alfonso and his wife. It's, you know, a nice photo. But on the other side, I'm really not sure what this is. It is some kind of circle with instruments in the middle.
Like a ritualistic satanic circle or something like that, but
Yeah.
there's a little more to it. Like there's something in the middle that's hard to make out.
Yeah, there's like an instrument, not like a musical instrument, but like a pulley lever deal with something on it. It's yeah, and they show it in a bit, and it's still like, what am I really looking at? Before Alfonso enters the room, he starts hearing these noises, and they're almost like sexual noises, like moaning and everything and all that. At first you're thinking like, oh, he's like not like he was lying, like, oh, it's actually not her husband. She's with someone, his wife is with someone else in this universe. But he opens the door and everything's kind of normal. He sees his wife. Everything seems normal. She's just in the kitchen preparing food or whatever. But then they go outside and there's two men there. These two men are both named Oriole. So they're the Orioles. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be.
Say what that's about? Yeah.
No, well, they don't really. Well, the thing about this segment is everything's just shown and nothing's really explained. You're just like, oh, it's supposed to be confusing because it's an alien world, and that's just another part of it. I think there's connections though, which we'll get to. It might have something to do with like this is a parallel universe, so it's like there's two Orioles. I don't know. The noises that he was hearing before, all the sexual moanings and everything, are actually coming from a TV. There's a porno film just playing in the background. Then we get to what this picture was showing, which is this like ritual circle, and it seems like there is a bag of some bloody viscera.
Yeah, just like a mess of organs.
A mess of organs. And we're not sure but it's not shown, like it's not bloody or anything. It's just like, that's what is assumed to be in there. And they all just like sit down and, all right, I'm ready when you are. Like, go ahead, go start. And obviously Alfonso's like, what?
What? Yeah.
And he's like totally confused by all this. Meanwhile, the other Alfonso is in the regular universe, and he's going into Maria's bedroom and just like kind of looking at her. And we're not sure what's happening there yet. But yeah, so Marta prompts him to just begin this ritual, or whatever is about to happen. The two guys, the Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles, they just kind of get up and leave because they're also confused by what's happening, and they just like, all right, they're just like, all right, yeah, we're out of here. I loved that part, but I loved that whole scene, like him sitting down and them being like, all right, go ahead, like, and what, like what's supposed to happen. And that leads to like some like very nervous horror, which I liked a lot.
Yeah, you assume that there's going to be some sexual. It's definitely sexual.
Yeah,
but
yeah, she's wearing like a robe.
And the men have their shirts off, and it's probably, even though the thing on the TV is pure violence, like it's like a crucified person, like burning in a pyre.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not just a porno. It's a snuff film.
Yeah, it's like a snuff film of some sort. But you get the sense that that's also supposed to be sexual.
Yeah.
You get the sense that he's supposed to interact with that viscera in some sort of sexual manner. But yeah, he has no idea what is going on at all.
After the Orioles leave, we hear all these like droning noises outside, and Alfonso's like, what the hell is that? And Marta's just like, what? That
I love this bit.
Yeah, like,
because he's just like,
you know what that is. Like,
so he's got the camera sat on the couch where he was a second ago.
Yeah.
But he's moved, so you can see them both framed up. And
they're speaking.
He's just got this big and the body bag, the viscera bag or whatever it is just in between the two of them this whole conversation with like a candle or whatever underneath it. And then he's got this big window behind him where all these sounds are coming from, and he just keeps turning and over again, and he gives you time as a viewer to go like, what the hell could that possibly be? Like, what is that? Yeah, like, what is going on outside? Yeah, no, it's really fun, like, cheeky world building.
Yeah,
that just like lets your imagination run with it.
Exactly, and it all sort of reveals itself right after he's so distracted by this noise that he runs outside to see what it is. And when he goes outside, he doesn't see anything at first, but he looks up and there's a giant Zeppelin with this upside down cross on it. And
Yeah,
there's
in like neon purple lighting,
like RGB
as if
gamer
it's like a
lighting.
mega church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's all this like demonic chanting that you start to hear. And now you're just like, some of this is coming together, but it's still not painting the whole picture, which is fantastic. It's great, like enigmatic world building where it's just like you can only, nothing's spelled out to you, and you only have your thoughts about like how this world is run. I want to get to that. I want to get to that in a bit. I want to like try to expand on what I think this world is, but let's get through the whole segment first.
Yeah, the Zeppelin clearly has like speakers, like a speaker system on it too. Probably for propaganda.
Yeah, it's like, how do I explain it? It's like 1984 Satanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like dystopian Satanism.
That's my read too. Yeah, they're in some sort of satanic,
which is a cool fucking idea. Like demons, but it's like a structured fascist society, like a tyrannical society. But then there's like other factors that we'll get to in a bit. Yeah, after he sees this giant Zeppelin, he sees the Orioles outside now, and they're heading to their car, and they see him outside. They're like, "What are you doing?" As they turn to him, their eyes and mouths, all of their orifices, they start to glow with this light, and they attack him. I guess knowing like, oh, you're not compliant right now, so we have to take care of you. They get him against a tree, and one of them takes his pants off. From the side of the camera that's recording all this, you just see this fanged phallic creature, practical, like an animatronic thing, start to come into frame that's protruding from his crotch. It's a monster penis.
It's a monster penis.
It's a monster penis, which the alternate version of Alfonso also has, and he's now using it on Marta in our universe. And when that happens, it scares Marta awake, and she ultimately just she's ready. She like stabs it.
Yeah.
She like stabs. She's like now he's like incapacitated. But we cut back to the other universe, the satanic universe, where Alfonso escapes, and he goes back into the house, and Marta is there to confront him. She starts to kind of become aroused, like she sees blood on him, and she's like, "What's that?" And she takes off her robe. Her bottom half is also this fanged creature. It's a fanged vagina, but like
the vagina monster.
A vagina
monster.
Vagina. It's a monster vagina with fangs. These sharp teeth.
It runs up like like you
it
said,
runs
like
up a good amount
body.
of her. Yeah. And what happens? Alfonso just socks her in the face.
Yeah.
And he immediately flees downstairs back through the portal. And while he's going through the portal, the parallel Alfonso is also meeting him there. And he's completely covered in blood. And that Alfonso stabs him. That the parallel Alfonso stabs the real Alfonso, like in the leg, and he returns to his universe. But on the other side, the fanged vagina monster, Marta, meets him on the other side. And she thinks, obviously, that this is still her husband.
And he says, "Marta, what are you doing?" And she responds, "Exercising my right to execute the law on domestic violence in the home." It's her monster vagina opens up, and she starts eating his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that there's rules against domestic violence in a
In Satan world.
satanic dystopian society.
Yeah.
We
I love
still
that she
got a
kind of turns
director.
into a robot there. Like she delivers that line like
Yeah, well, she starts glowing too, like the other guys did before when she's saying this. Yeah, she's like reciting protocol or whatever.
yeah.
It's like android like, which is like this crazy combination of science, this crazy combination of like dystopian science fiction and demon horror combined into one. It's a sick idea. It's an awesome idea. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
it's dope.
So the ending now here is Alfonso's got his leg stabbed. He's on the ground. And then Marta, the real Marta, appears. And she's covered in blood. We don't really see what happened, like why they're both covered in blood. But she's covered in blood. And she now thinks that, you know, her husband is the one that attacked her. She stabs him like a few times brutally. And
Yeah.
the footage ends. That's the best segment of this film, and it's honestly like just worth watching on its own. I want to get into like what is this universe, because it is actually really interesting. When I saw this, I was like, maybe this is a timeline where this is a timeline where there was some sort of like antichrist figure that took over and used like demonism to enact an organized, like, I don't know. He's like, yeah, the Antichrist forms, like, takes advantage of modern government institutions. It's kind of like conspiratorial in that way too. Like lizard people-esque.
Kind of, yeah. Like it's got a little bit of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because it never says what's going on. I mean, it's clearly more than just Satan worshippers, because they actually are demon people now.
Yeah, they're like beings
But
of light.
You presume at one point they weren't, because they're parallel versions of people who are normal people in the other dimension. So you assume at some point, yeah, like the country or the world is taken over by, instead of Christianity being the dominant religion, it becomes Satanism. And you don't know which one comes first, if that was like imposed on people or if that happened naturally and now they've either been possessed by or they have morphed into demon creatures.
I just love the
But
entire
they're still
aesthetic.
running the government.
I love the whole, yeah, it's still like it's not like hell world they're living in. There's still like a structured society.
Yeah, there's still Satanism. It's just like what you do. It's like instead of going to church, you have like a sex orgy, a violent sex orgy.
Yeah.
At your house.
It's just the norm, but everything else is the same. You can still you can like people are still mostly human.
Yeah, LA traffic is the same.
LA traffic is the same. Yeah. Yeah, I just love the entire aesthetic of like the Zeppelin blasting demonic chants and having the upside down cross insinuating what the world is. It's very like it reminds me of great anthology storytelling. I brought up I think I brought up last week about Weird Tales, how the world building in some Weird Tales short fiction was really pointed because of how much they just of things that were introduced but not like dwelled upon, but they had to like have these world building elements like make thematic sense to the story. And I feel like Nacho Vigalondo does that extremely well here, and he kind of encapsulates why these segments what these segments should do and what they do to be like really effective and just like insinuate a broader world but bring it into a more intimate environment to get the most out of the horror.
It makes what is generally like the weakness of a short film like this, being that it is as short as it is,
An advantage.
An advantage because it leaves you wanting more.
Exactly. It's always a good thing.
Rather than, that's the opposite of a lot of the VHS
Yeah.
films where they
a good chunk of them that we've watched so far, short films, have left you kind of hoping that the premise would be fleshed out a little bit more. This one, like, I think also by leaning into the humor of it,
Yeah.
like it knows how ridiculous this concept is. Like it's so far out of left field
But it's
with the
still
penis
sincere with
monsters and
it.
stuff. It's sincere, but the lines like the domestic violence line
The best
is
domestic violence line is
exercising my right.
really, yeah. And the fact that
That's
it
like
is
a
like,
Futurama line.
it is,
That's
yeah.
like
It's a Futurama line. Yeah, you're right.
crazy.
Um, it's also like, yeah, this
Which I love.
psychosexual thing too, which is, I think, played more into horror than into comedy, but it's naturally funny, and I think the film knows that.
Yeah, it's so smart. It's
Yeah,
such a good
and
quick jab of
it's a
a
quick
short film.
jab. Yeah, that's the perfect way to put it. And if Nacho Vigalondo was a weaker writer, the scene where Alfonso goes back into the house and sees Marta would have explained what's going on, and that would have been worse. The fact that she doesn't
Yeah,
is what makes it work. There's no
yeah, it just
lore.
makes it so much more captivating.
Yeah, it's way more captivating this way. But yeah, that's Parallel Monsters. Go, yeah, watch Time Crimes, watch Colossal. They're great films, and watch this one because I think there's so much of it that works. But we interrupt this good movie to bring you back to the bad movie.
The shitty movie that it is in.
That, yeah, the shitty movie that it's surrounded by. We go back to Vicious Circles, and there's this, Kevin's still chasing the truck. He's chasing the truck throughout the whole fucking movie. It goes through this neighborhood, and we then get to this little side story of
It's a kind of kooky little
little
a
side
Coen
story.
Brothers-esque
Oh my god!
side story.
I don't know what
Uh,
the fuck
uh,
this was trying to do. We get to the point of view now. There's this party, this kind of like this Hispanic community. They're celebrating someone that's just been released from prison, and they're having a whole barbecue.
yeah, I think it'd be like it's a Latino community, right? Or
Yeah, it's like a
Lat
Hispanic community, yeah, Latino. You can picture it. Yeah,
Yeah, they
Hispanic,
paint a specific
SoCal.
picture.
It's, yeah. I don't know if it seems. I don't want to insinuate that this is like stereotypical, but they are dressed like gangbangers.
Yeah,
It is,
they definitely have given them the that specific look.
yeah,
I forget the term, but it's
they're
derogatory,
banger.
whatever it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, this is a really good example of the cynicism that you were talking about,
yeah.
because the way this scene devolves, it's like, have you ever been to a cookout like this? When is it ever anything other than fire? Like,
Oh God,
like
bro,
people don't act like this at cookouts. Like,
dude, I live in New York. I live in New York. Like every park in New York, on Long Island and Queens, has like a giant Hispanic family having banger cookouts.
yeah, you walk up and you get a beer for free.
Yeah,
Like,
they love
what do
you.
you?
They want everyone's part of their family. They love the park.
It's
They love doing this.
yeah, it's so weird.
It's awesome.
And I get like this movie only knows how to talk with the language of like it's just immediate violence. It's like, okay,
exactly.
well,
Yeah, this
this guy pisses this guy off and she pisses him off, so he calls her a slur, and then
yeah. Well, what ends up
they start
happening
killing each other.
what ends up happening is as the truck is kind of going through the neighborhood, it's obviously making people crazy, but there's also this helicopter on the scene, and the combination of the helicopter above them making them all paranoid and the footage being broadcasted by the truck driving everyone crazy, there's this sudden chaos. All this opera music starts to play as well. There's more identifiable opera music in a bit, like classical music that plays. That's kind of a theme of this movie too, is the classical music. But one of the guests stabs a dog, like a chihuahua in the head.
Yeah.
The guest of honor's dog, the guy that just got out of prison. It's not like I think they decided later on that they can't make this gory. So, but it looks silly. Like there's a fork just being stuck into this chihuahua's head. The guy's it just like stays there. And this guy's
Yeah,
looking
there's
at
like
it like
a slight blood trickle.
yeah. Second dead dog of the VHS series.
Yeah, what is like what's going on?
It's easy.
It's so easy.
It's
like,
easy. So the guy then
let's hold on a second. Let's
ahead.
remember to keep track of that in the future.
Well, we had
Let's keep a tally.
We'll keep a tally. I can't remember any more off the top of my head.
No, I can't, but I'm sure there's another one.
Me too.
I'm sure it happens.
Anyway, we get to anyway, all hell breaks loose and the main guest of honor goes crazy and just kills everybody.
His family.
His whole family. And we cut back to Kevin. Whole gas tank explode. The city around him now is just like exploding. The whole neighborhood is just in complete chaos of this crazy footage. And speaking of that, we get to the last segment, which is weird because you're thinking, oh, like there's only 3, and it's like, yes, there's only 3, and I think I mentioned before one was cut, and you can only find it in the physical versions of this film. But yes, we get to the final segment here, Bonestorm. We gotta keep track of the Simpsons references too that I make, because I believe Bonestorm is the name of the video game that Bart steals in that one Simpsons Christmas episode.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
With the commercial of Santa and the RPG and the rocket launchers. Tell your parents to buy Bonestorm or go to hell, like that.
Yeah, it 100% is.
Buy me Bonestorm or go to hell. Bart.
Well, that makes sense because they're skaters. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. They might have gotten the name from that. Kind of like how Fall Out Boy also got their name from The Simpsons.
How do you feel about this segment?
I'm more mixed on it. I like it more than the first one. I don't like it as much as Parallel Monsters, but I think certain things about this segment are interesting. First off, let's get to who made this segment, and we'll discuss more about overall thoughts on it. This segment's directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Scott Moorhead. They've done a lot of interesting stuff, actually. They are these kind of like indie horror filmmakers that came to prominence with, they did this segment here, but you might know them more for a film called The Endless or Synchronic. Synchronic is also really interesting. But they did The Endless and Synchronic, 2 very interesting indie horror films. We saw The Endless in theaters together. We saw it at the Music Box in Chicago.
We did, yeah.
That was a very good experience. And
yeah, that was a fun movie.
It was a fun movie. I like that movie a lot. Synchronic is also very interesting. Nowadays, they're more known for TV, actually.
Oh, God. Did they make like Marvel movies or something?
Yeah, now they're in the Marvel circle.
Seriously?
They are, yeah. Well, before that, they did... Oh, did you watch the Archive 81 Netflix show? That was a podcast that got a TV adaptation that wasn't bad. I actually really liked it. And they directed those episodes. They also did an episode of the Twilight of Jordan Peele's The Twilight Zone reboot, which was very good. People don't talk about that one enough.
Yeah?
I feel like he did a great job with that.
Okay, I'll check that out. I was excited for it, and then people were just kind of like, "Gah."
Yeah, no, I thought it was well done. If it was just this 8-episode thing, they're not going to continue it. Perfect. Let's have it. Let's have that. If I feel like if they did any more of it, then it would overstay its welcome. But worth watching. But then they got into the Marvel machine, which, good for them. They, I guess they established themselves as, early on, promising indie horror filmmakers. Their main thing though is like cosmic horror. So if you like cosmic horror, like The Endless and Synchronic are very interesting. But that doesn't translate into their Marvel stuff. Because they did, so they started working with Marvel on some TV shows. They did Moon Knight, Loki, directed some episodes of Loki, and currently they're doing the new Daredevil reboot.
Oh, okay. The new Daredevil show.
The new Daredevil show, yeah. Which
Daredevil.
I've heard good things about. I watched the original Daredevil on Netflix, and I liked it a lot.
I'm worried
Won't
those
watch
shows
this
don't
one.
hold up as well.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I have a good feeling about Jessica Jones, but I'm not.
That might hold
I
up.
don't know
Yeah, because they never
about-
revisited that, really.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be much fanfare around that, and it was just kind of its own thing.
Which probably meant it was good.
I remember Daredevil being genuinely good. Just like it's like some action scenes were good, but also like the side characters like were actually like very well done.
You know what I like about VHS Viral is that half the time it's so uninteresting to us that we are just going
Remember
to
Daredevil?
deviate
Yeah.
and talk about Daredevil from 2013 because it's more interesting than this.
It is.
But like, check this out though. Kingpin like wasn't an interesting villain, right? Like we
No,
were
everyone-
gaslit into
think
thinking
we
that
were
he was
gaslit.
like
Yeah, everyone was
he-
obsessed with him.
Yeah, like he was like Walter White or some shit.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god, this is the most complex villain that they've done. And it's like, no, this is still pretty goofy.
He just talks about crime
Yeah.
with like a goofy voice.
Kingpin in Spider-Verse was way better.
That was, oh my god, that was way better. He just wants his family back. That was
And the goddamn Spider-Man took it away.
goddamn Spider-Man. Never learned that he was the reason they left. No, way better, way better.
Way better. But good on. I mean, I hope Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead come back.
Well, hold on.
Oh, we're still in Kingpin.
What?
We're still in Kingpin.
Yeah, we're not done here. How did you feel about the Punisher?
I didn't watch the Punisher show, but
Neither did I.
he was all right. And I mean,
like the character?
I think my like of John Bernthal outweighs like any like. I just think I like watching him on screen more than I like the character of the Punisher. So that's
that's
where I'm
probably
coming
true.
from with that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. He's got that charisma. He nails it. There's something about his delivery. You're just like, I'm also angry just like you.
But do something about it.
I should do something about it. Let me ask you something. Anyway, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, I can't. That's like, fuck. I was trying to find it and I couldn't get to it. Yeah,
Leave that in.
something.
Okay.
That's not
let me
it.
ask you something.
That's not it. Yeah, that's more. Yeah, you have more of the essence of it in your impression.
That's the first time I've ever done it.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. You nailed it because you weren't thinking about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't have any fear.
That's when you do the best impressions, is when you don't think about it and it just like happens, just like escapes from you.
Yeah. He was in there the whole time.
He's in there the
waiting
whole
to get loose.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, back to So I hope Justin Benson and Aaron Scott Moorhead, they make a return to indie horror soon, or I mean, I don't know, give them a blank check, see what they can do with it. I think they deserved it. They've given years and years to Marvel. I think they deserve something out of that. That's what it's all about anyway. I think Ryan Coogler is showing that right now. You know, it's like, all right, I dedicated all these years to these fucking Black Panther movies, and now I got a blank check and I get to do this sick vampire movie.
Yeah, I remember they hearing the term in Hollywood that it was it's like one for me, one for them, one for me.
Yeah.
So like Christopher Nolan does like a one for them movie. He's like, all right, I'll make a new Batman movie, and then he gets a one for him.
They'll do Inception.
Yeah, and do Inception. It's
We're getting into
yeah,
the era of Marvel
wave
directors.
commodity.
Yeah, we're getting into the era of promising directors that were swept up into the Marvel machine, getting out of the Marvel machine and doing their own stuff now. And I mean, it's not working out for the Endgame guys because they're kind of just talentless hacks. But at least for like actual promising
Get 'em.
filmmakers like Ryan Coogler and
Yeah,
who
no, for
else?
sure. Like
Yeah,
the Russo brothers are like just seem wholly uninterested. It seems like
no, they just want to make
I mean,
whatever
well, especially with
AI
their thoughts
slop
on
that.
yeah, AI movies or whatever the hell. It's like, guys, you started on like
What
fucking
Arrest
community episodes. What are
Arrested
you
Development?
doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
like
Why don't they just make like they can probably make good comedy still, right? Maybe they still have that in them.
I don't think they wrote those though. I don't think that's why they were just kind of like
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
good at shooting the sort of more
I think you're right.
cinematic elements of those shows, especially Community.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah. But like,
but
yeah, what do you
yeah,
think they
apparently they
think?
had
Because like
no
their
ambition.
movies are like, it's like, what's the difference between like what you're doing now and what AI can do for your sake? Like your movies already feel
Maybe it's
like
because they
AI
think
generated.
like AI. They don't realize that like Ryan Coogler and like
Trying to think of other
like David
directors.
Lynch
David
and like
Lynch.
all
We're going
whoever.
way. No, that's a whole different ballpark.
Yeah.
Whole different
Who
ballpark.
who who else? Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Yeah.
Um,
Well, people have kind of turned
he
on
doesn't
him.
realize like that yeah, I think that's kind of just whatever. People are fickle. Um, but maybe they think that those directors think the same way. It's like, oh, they must also think like AI. That's all they've ever known is think like AI. They don't understand that there's like under the hood, like if they were in the room with Ryan Coogler, like ideating and like coming up with like set deck for Black Panther, they'd be like, what do
Yeah,
you
it's
mean
like
color theory?
this is only the precog to what is what it's supposed to be, and not like no.
Yeah,
This is also a process that has merit.
yeah. Damn. Sellouts.
Sellouts, total sellouts. I hope these guys don't. They don't. I hope they don't stay for much longer because I think
No, I hope
they're.
they go to Parallel Monsters World
Oh yeah, they
and
should.
they make their their movies would be loved over there. They'd be the new Spielberg.
Oh my god.
Parallel Satan World.
Yes, Bonestorm, directed by Justin Benson, Aaron Scott Moorhead. There are parts of this I like, but I think I honestly, first time that I will say this about a VHS segment, this one's too long, or this one
Yeah,
feels
right?
too
Like
long. Might actually not be that long in comparison, but it definitely feels the longest.
definitely later on when you get to like that last third,
Yeah, where
like the
it's
back
just
half, you're
fighting.
like,
Yeah,
Jesus.
it's like all right, they're gonna keep doing the. Yeah, it goes on for a bit too long, but I like the setup. I like the concept of it.
I really like that too.
Yeah, I don't like where it ends. It's another one of these segments that it's like you had something and you just let it get away from you a bit. It's still an admirable attempt in my eyes.
What's funny about this one is I think you nailed it on the head. It's like this one isn't missing something. It would have been better if it was a little cleaner, if stuff had just been
Yeah,
cut out.
yeah,
Because I can't think of anything that needs to be added in. Maybe if they wanted to put in a little bit of extra monster
monster
crap
stuff.
towards the
Yeah,
end,
yeah.
but
Well, you know
they could
what?
have made room for that.
You know what this kind of reminded me of? I mean, it feels like this is supposed to be the highest budget, more actiony segment of this film. This is supposed to be the safe haven of this particular film.
I think so. I
but
had that
They
sentiment too.
like they're not Gareth Evans. I think they're talented, but they're not Gareth Evans and they're not Timo Tadjanto. And so the action just feels kind of limp in comparison.
100%. There's almost nothing to the action. Like
No,
it's just sort of like visual noise.
visual noise. Yeah, there's just no structure to it. But some of it was a good try. Like I like the look of it. I like the concept of it. Yeah, we'll get more into it in a bit when we get to that part. But yeah, so Bonestorm is about these LA skate. Again, we're all centered on LA. It's funny because parallel, like this is all has something to do with like LA, but like the framing narrative has to do with LA. This segment has to do with LA. Parallel Monster is a bit like you can say it takes place in like SoCal, I guess. The first segment is Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the reason, that first segment just doesn't fit at all. But this is very in line with the framing narrative. This segment here, you get these Los Angeles skateboarders. Their names are Jason and Danny, and they're doing all these stunts. The film starts out with one of the guys doing a trick. One of these guys jumping off one building onto another. Really dangerous shit. They're just trying to capture, also a good reason to, another good like framing device, I'd say. Like, yeah, what if these skater kids, we're trying to make a skateboard video and, happen upon some stuff, which is the concept here, which is, I think is very strong. So after he performs this trick, the other one pulls out a gun and starts shooting in the air. So just to let you know that he's got a piece throughout this whole movie, basically. Do you remember the nicknames for all the guys? I forgot to.
Oh God, no! There was camera guy.
There's the camera guy, and then there's another. There's like garbage man or something.
Gas money.
Gas money. That's right.
Gas money kid. I think the insinuation being that they only ever hang out with him to get around places.
Yeah. They escalate into doing more dangerous tricks. They're in a skate park. The entire idea is that their videographer is pushing them to do all these like dangerous stunts, so they can sell it. They can sell the potential carnage as some sort of snuff film. I like these kids, these teenagers. They seem authentic to me, like these just like punk skater kids that are, edgy and all, but also like trying to get by.
Yeah,
it's strong, as I said, but yeah, they get kicked out of their skate park for starting a fight. Again, like, yeah, not the cleanest action.
But at least it's like because of how short it is in that moment. At least it just feels like authentic to.
Yeah,
what the GoPro or whatever footage is capturing, that it's like rough and tumble. It kind of feels like actual footage being captured of somebody like
I think there
wailing on somebody else.
Yeah, that's the part where it's like them wailing on each other, and like the punching sound effects are like purposefully weak. I think it like kind of communicates that there's a realism to it, but it also just like holds no weight, which echoes the later on fight. And I think when you have your entire segment dedicated to being more action oriented, you can be a little bit more cinematic with this. But I appreciate that they're trying to bring it into this realism. I just don't think what ends up happening warrants that amount of realism. Yeah, they get kicked out, and Taylor suggests that they continue filming in Tijuana. Another Simpsons reference. I think it's the Camp Krusty episode where Krusty is like, I know we'll make everything better. A trip to Tijuana. And they'll go to Tijuana. Oh, yeah.
Sick.
It's sick.
I gotta watch this fucking show so I can keep up with your references.
I know, I'm not. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop.
Everybody out there knows it. I'm sure I'm the only one who
I'm
doesn't.
sure you are.
Make a Futurama joke.
You did. Remember in the very...
Oh, I did. Not
the very first episode. Yeah. Listen back. Listen back. Zach makes the tightest Futurama joke. I think it's in the second episode.
Is it in the second episode?
I think
can anybody scrub and
scrub back.
Leave a comment.
I think it's the McPherson tape episode.
That sounds right.
Sounds about right to
Oh, I
me.
think you're right. You're totally right. Yes,
Come
yes,
in,
yes, yes, yes,
come
yes,
in
yes.
with the Futurama references anytime you want, Zach. It's okay.
Okay, okay. I'll try. Okay, let me see if I can. I'll load them up. I'll think
Load
about
them
it as we
up.
go.
So anyway, yeah, they go to Tijuana and they start continuing their skateboarding tricks. They continue their skateboarding video there. They invited another guy named Gas Money with them, which the only reason that they hang out with them is to get them places. The way this segment is filmed, by the way, is that there's a main camcorder point of view, but there's also helmet cams, which is what Kevin is also wearing in the framing narrative. So we're getting that again just with skateboarding, and they do a good enough job making it look like visually different compared to the framing narrative. So it's there. It kind of all there's enough differences there. And so yeah, they're in Tijuana. They're buying fireworks, and they end up getting lost. And they run into a mysterious woman for just a minute, and she returns later. But you get a sense that they're being followed. They find this ravine. It's like this flood control, like kind of like outdoor storm drain.
I feel like this is such a West Coast thing. Like every time I see,
It is a West
like
Coast
Los
thing.
Angeles depicted, there's that famous giant one that's in a
Chinatown
bunch of movies.
has depicts, I
Yeah,
think there's a scene in Chinatown with one.
I forget what that's called. Some sort of channel,
Some sort of
man-made channel.
Yeah, all made of concrete. Yeah, you know what we're talking about. And yeah, so they're skating around this channel, and there's this pentagram in the middle. Another Satanist thing. But
Through line.
yeah, another Satanist through line. I guess the first segment isn't really, that can also be kind of Satan-y.
Yeah.
Stupid, but Satan-y, I guess. And what ends up happening is they're not like weirded out by the pentagram because it kind of just blends in. It just looks like graffiti. Like, yeah, you probably see that everywhere. You see that in real life too, in fucking like bathroom stalls and shit. So they kind of, they don't pay no mind to it. But one of them gets injured and they start bleeding out, and some of the blood gets onto the pentagram and it starts smoking. And as the blood starts to boil, the woman returns. She just appears out of nowhere. The main cameraman, Taylor, walks up to her, but she immediately tears his arm off. You then see in the distance on the horizon all these cloaked beings starting to approach. And here's where the main meat of the film really starts. They all come in and attack the group, and this whole fight scene starts to commence, where all the guys they're using their skateboards as weapons now to beat up these cultists, and they're also grabbing their weapons as well. They're these like machetes. Yeah, it's like a battle.
Yeah, can I say this? Well, so this is one of the stronger, I guess, like aspects of the movie. I mean, the battle isn't necessarily, but this visual of them being surrounded. The woman rips off Taylor's arm.
Yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere.
There's blood everywhere. They're in the middle of the desert, nowhere, and there's just all these guys in like sandy hoods, like chanting, and they're doing
Painted
this like
faces, kind of like Day of the Dead.
deep-throated chanting.
Kind of like Day of the Dead inspired.
And they're super nonplussed. Like they're like coming to get them, but they're not really trying that hard. So it has this extra kind of weirdness to it.
Yeah, like they're being careful. Like it's kind of like I don't want to hurt you too much, but we have to do this. Yeah, you get the sense that
the cultists don't care if they live or die either. Like they're just like vessels. One of them has like a parchment paper in that says like, look, you will unearth our beautiful creature or something like that.
That's why this reminds me so much of Safe Haven. Like this is supposed to be this segment's Safe Haven.
Yeah, that does seem to be demon, like,
you know.
Yeah, it's Tony Hawk's Safe Haven.
Tony Hawk's Safe Haven.
Which, by the way,
yeah, that's good, Zach.
When the one guy injures himself and drips blood on the symbol, the way the blood drips, I was like, man, that gives me flashbacks to early 2000s and just like seeing skate videos and
Yeah.
seeing somebody get injured or like falling in Tony Hawk and you get that like little blood splatter. I don't know why, but I was like, that is how it is though, man. Like
Yeah.
as somebody who did not skate myself, but literally every single friend I've ever had has
I
skated.
skated, or you played the
Um,
Tony Hawk games.
yeah, like entrenched in the culture. There was something about him eating shit and hitting his elbow that was like, I was like, oh yeah, right.
I
Like
once,
that's authentic.
yeah, no, I once fell off my bike when I was younger, and we were going really fast down a hill, and I fell off, and I got really bad road burn. That was kind of what it was like.
Ugh.
It was probably the most profuse blood I've seen on myself.
Oh yeah, like you one of those moments where you look and you're like, I have fucking done it. Like
Yeah.
this is
I carved
what
myself
like
down to the
TV
bone.
looks like.
This is what TV looks like. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, so we get onto this whole fight segment. Sean's stabbed and he bleeds out. Taylor's set on fire.
Having his arm ripped off.
Yeah. Just like double owned, basically. And they start to like finish off the cultists that they can see. When they think they're done, there's this monstrous roar, and all of the bodies reanimate, and they reanimate as skeletons. And when this happened, I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's do skeletons. Let's have scary skeletons and
Yeah, let's do
and
it in
found
the middle of the
footage.
desert.
In the middle of, yeah, that kind of, I was like, when that happened, I was like kind of getting a little giddy. I was like, ooh, we're getting Jason and the Argonauts, but skateboarders in the desert.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do
kind of
this.
sick.
Yeah, it's kind of sick. And yeah, so they attack them again, but again, the action just is kind of limp. It's just there's no weight to it like there is in Safe Haven, or there's just like
I
so
feel like
much
some of the
chaos and impact.
I'm always struck by these like close-ups of their faces and like the way that the motion works where
Yeah,
it's like so weirdly still. Like, you know what I mean? Where like it's on like this rotator, like it like so it still can
I
move
think
and
just the way
capture
their
things, but
cameras are. Yeah, it's an interesting
it's
way
the
to
way their
shoot it.
cameras
Yeah,
work. And it makes their faces look so weird in these moments where sometimes it's really effective because you can see like this weird stretched out face
oh yeah, where
when
it's like
they're in a
pointed
moment of
down.
panic.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's actually a really good way of communicating like their peril.
but some of their reactions sometimes to me, I can't tell what it is, but their facial expressions in some of the moments
They don't fit.
feel like
Feels like they were
they
edited.
don't fit.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying now. Like, yeah, it feels like they were cut in from other footage that didn't have anything to do with like the entire
That
action part.
moment.
Like it wasn't, yeah, the moment. Like it was just like leftover
Yeah.
reaction shots. You're gonna do like generic like B-roll of them. They kind of, yeah, it deadens it a little bit. I would say. Yeah, so they're being attacked by these skeletons now, and this is where Jason and Danny use the fireworks. That kind of takes care of them a little bit more quickly because now they're all, the fireworks kind of explode them, and that's the way you deal with skeletons. Is you got to explode them into pieces. But they see an opportunity to escape, and they head down this storm drain. But the creature that the cultists are summoning starts to appear, and you see like a foot, and that's it. You don't know how. This is like God. They're like summoning Godzilla or something, like some kind of kaiju.
Yeah.
It seemed not like a demon, but some kind of kaiju is what it looks like.
It's big enough that the final shot can be the corpse of one of the dead skaters gets like picked up and then
Yeah,
swallowed.
he swallows
'Cause
him.
we
Yeah,
go-
he devours him. We just go into
We get, like-
the camera captures the insides of his throat. This is the second time that's happened in this series now. Because the last in VHS 2, the first segment ended with the eye camera going in his throat.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because the first segment in VHS 2, it ends with the eye camera going through his throat.
Yes. 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 You're right. You're right. You're right.
I was
You're
surprised they went with
right.
an ending where the guys just escape. Everyone, the main two guys just live and they get to tell the story, they tell the tale.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like that's
It's rare.
one of the only times that that's happened. Yeah,
Yeah, it's rare.
maybe the only time.
No one,
Like the
they don't
two
get
main
punished.
guys.
They don't get punished for
Yeah,
what they're doing.
for their sins of skateboarding.
Yeah, but they're too cool. They fought off a lot of those monsters, a lot of those cultists and skeletons. They held their own. So maybe they do deserve it.
They put it down. They worked. They worked for
hard.
it. They worked for it. There's some ingenuity there.
Yeah, so
They were nice to a homeless man at the beginning. Maybe that's what saved them.
yeah, there's a
Maybe that bought them
karmatic
some
thing.
karma.
Yeah, there's a karmatic thing to these movies, as we talked about when we talked about Safe Haven. But it's like totally imbalanced.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a through line there. Let's wrap this up because we get to the final interlude. We finish off the framing narrative, going from the last segment here to this segment to the final part of the framing narrative. I thought Kevin was pulling into the same area that the kids, the skateboarders, were just in the last segment, because he ends up in like a storm drain ravine type area.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I thought he was visiting
His
that
is a lot
area.
deeper.
I don't think it is though.
His is no, I don't think so. I think it looks different. A little different.
Yeah. Anyway, warning is given to all the people across LA about this chase, but city's already in chaos. Everyone's killing each other because of the images on their phones. Jesus Christ.
The Black Mirror.
Yeah, this is like when Black Mirror I generally like, but then it's also like there's some episodes that get really, really lame with its messaging.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, guys.
Like, all right, phone bad. Fuck off. What?
I remember there was a Black Mirror episode. I think it was Jodie Foster who directed it, where I was like,
Jodie
oh my
Foster.
gosh, really? Jodie Foster.
Oh.
Where she...
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. The one with the kid. The single mother. She has a kid. And what is it? She like monitors her.
She blurs out. She has a device that allows her to blur out things in real life, like censor aspects of real life.
Yes, that's it.
Crazy through line that ends in her killing the mom, not being able to even perceive the violence as she kills the mom. I mean, she knows she's doing it, so that's kind of get what the point is. And then runs off with a trucker. That's literally the through line of that movie is she coddles her kid so hard.
Be careful.
That her kid doesn't grow up strong and runs off with a trucker.
Oh my god. Yeah, that one's kind of lame. Yeah.
Trash.
Be careful. Your children. Any second they're gonna blow up. Keep an eye.
Yeah, and murder you.
Yeah.
And if you coddle them like a snowflake, they'll also be murderous because they won't know what violence.
You can't win. Just don't have children.
Just don't have really, honestly,
don't have a kid. You can't win.
Nobody wants more of you.
No, yeah.
You know?
No one wants more of you. Oh my god. This
episode's
been very cynical. I mean, like, I don't know.
Something's happening.
This film is very cynical. I think that it's reflecting on us now, which I blame the film.
The viral.
Yeah.
The viral's in us, dude.
Maybe they were onto something. Maybe they were really onto something. But yeah, let's finish this up here.
Movie.
Don't watch this movie, whatever you do. Oh God. Oh, before this. Oh yeah, I completely blanked this scene out where the entire
The back of
taxi,
the
the
taxi.
taxi scene.
Yeah.
What is going on there?
Yeah.
We cut to inside of a taxi, and this really creepy guy is filming this woman stripping down. And before he's able to touch her, she pulls out a gun and tries to like. And then she's like, "Now you get." I don't. It's
They have
it's
some
so
history
weird.
where he revealed something, like
Yeah,
footage of her,
they try
and
to
now she's like, "How do
explain
you
it.
like being sexualized? Take off your clothes." And then they end up in a car crash.
Yeah, a car.
He
Not even
almost
just a
kills
regular
them.
car crash. A car comes flying, like
Yeah, flying
through their
car.
windshield.
Yeah, it just kills him instantly.
Yeah, it's like,
Um,
all right, the taxi segment.
yeah. Yeah,
And
they're gone as soon as they arrived.
and so concludes the taxi segment. Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
Great.
classic
Thanks.
characters.
Yeah, thanks, movie. Thanks for that.
Awesome.
Um,
Thanks a lot.
but yeah, we get to the final thing here. Yeah, so
This
Dawn, yeah, so
rich tapestry.
the rich tapestry. Yeah. Connecting all the dots. Yeah, so the film ends with Kevin happening upon this drainage basin, which I thought was the same location as the last segment, but I think it's just a different place and just similar imagery. I like the fact that Dawn's kind of breaking. It gives it a nice visual palette. But what ends up happening is he finds the truck and it's completely stopped, and he goes around to the driver's side, try to find his girlfriend, but all he sees are body parts just all strewn about the ground. But yeah, he goes around and he sees the steering wheel, and there's just these two hands, these two severed hands
On the steering wheel.
on the steering wheel. He opens up the van and he goes into the back, and now we get all of the stacks of TVs that we're familiar with from the last two films, which that kind of brought it all around for me a little bit, where it's like, oh, okay, that I can see where they were going with this and trying to
No,
know what
no, they don't. They don't get to.
they don't get that.
No, they don't get this. This is I'm put.
Putting it, yeah.
This is my moment to put my foot down. I was being the charitable one at this
Yeah,
point.
I was trying to be a little charitable.
They
Like,
don't-
oh, you know,
They don't get
it's
to
the
do
it's
this.
the TVs from the other one.
They don't get to do this fucking like Tony Stark walks in, but it's a pile of VHS tapes saying we're building a team. Like they don't get to do this. This isn't happening. If they wanted this,
It's exactly what
it
it is.
they had plenty of time to build up to this, and they just didn't. So now they're just like shoving it in this connection at the end. Why is it physical media?
Yeah, why
I guess
is it
the
still
through
tapes
line-
at this point.
If it's virus, if it's
It's if it's an
an
actual virus, yeah.
is it because using your knowledge from the last movie, you know that the guy from VHS 2 got the VHS tapes, converted them into videos, which is why he has them on his laptop? Wait, did he have them on his laptop, or did he just...
No, they
Have
watched the physical
tapes to
tapes
himself.
on the TVs.
He had physical tapes. This doesn't make any... No.
No, it's stupid. No, yeah, it's stupid.
No, this sucks.
Yeah,
This
it's
sucks
dumb.
now.
It's really dumb. But yeah,
It's
on the
just
TVs, his girlfriend appears on the screens, and she's telling him to upload all the videos, upload all the tapes. He refuses, but she keeps like brutally like mutilating herself on the other end, and to make her
Right.
stop, he just caves in and he does it. And yeah, she's just like taunting him. And then when he gets out of the truck, he sees her corpse just slumped against the truck, her physical corpse, with a phone stuck in her mouth. And on the phone, he finds that it's in the camera mode. He's just kind of like gazing at himself in the screen. His nose is bleeding. Beethoven's Ninth Symphony is playing in the background.
Unearned.
Unearned. Don't do that. Yeah. Oh, totally unearned. If there was any
Fucking Claire de Lune starts playing.
God, like no, you don't get to be elegant. You don't. You're not. Don't try to drive in your theme with classical music like you're about something. You know.
Like you did something here.
Yeah.
Um,
Closing shot. Los Angeles skyline. City's up in flames. I mean.
Uh-oh.
It's yeah. Shocker.
Yeah. Prescient. Yeah.
Yeah. Topical.
Maybe they were trying to warn.
They were trying to warn you. Maybe you should have. Maybe you should have stayed off your phone. You should have stayed off your phone. Maybe then we wouldn't get wildfires.
Yeah. Oh. I wait. That's it, right? There's nothing
Yeah,
else?
the movie's over finally.
Thank God.
Movie's over. It's go.
Paranormal Monsters was great.
Parallel Monsters was great. There's stuff in Bonestorm that's interesting. It's fun.
It's like
First
fun for a second.
first segment's awful, and then the framing
That's
narrative is tries to do stuff but fails at everything, and ultimately has no point and is way too cynical. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not just us that's being that are being widely negative. This is probably the most widely negative we've been for a film so far. We didn't me and you didn't really like Blair Witch 2016 that much, but I feel like we spoke about that film a little bit more like, oh, they had something, but they didn't really do anything with it. Ultimately, that movie's not good, but I feel like I it's weird panning a movie like this on this show right now because I never said that Blair Witch 2016 straight up sucks, but this movie sucks.
No, I wouldn't say that either.
Yeah.
I think there's just two. It's really tough for me these days to say that something outright sucks. Like, that's not me trying to give extra points to a movie just for being a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be nice.
It's really
I do
hard
think
to make a
lots
movie.
It's so hard. But beyond that, it's also like there's always components of a thing that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Or that are cool. So like
And there
even
are
when
components of this
Bonestorm, I
film.
feel like
Yeah.
yes. I mean Parallel Monsters is obviously really good.
Just really solid. Yeah. It feels like it belongs in a different movie.
There's moments in the frame narrative that are good. There's moments in Bonestorm that are worthwhile. There's a couple minutes in the Dante the Great that
No.
are enjoyable.
The part with the hands. I like the monster hands at the end. I wish the movie was more about that.
Yeah, the part with the hands, the part where the people levitate, part where those people step out into Las Vegas and they say, "How'd you like the show?" They're like, "Oh yeah, it was awesome. I mean, 1 second we were in Washington D.C. and then we go through a door and then all of a sudden we're in Vegas. I have no idea how we're getting back, but it was really cool. It was crazy." I was like, "That's funny. That's
a little
funny." Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you really look at art and you dismantle it, it's usually more than the sum of its parts. There's always something
but there's
to
also
appreciate and to enjoy.
Yeah. But there's also like when the experience of watching something and being just like in a mood.
Right.
All art you see is circumstantial, by the way, depending on
I actually didn't 100% dislike the experience of watching this. Like,
I mean, yeah, there's
again, there were
stuff that's in here
bits that were
that's,
kind of entertaining.
Yeah, there's entertaining bits in here. But then the lasting impression of this movie, though, is so sour. And that's why I'm very sour on it.
I will say Blair Witch 2016 is a movie where, like, most of it, other than, like, say, the ending segment, is, like, devoid of enjoyment to me. Like devoid of
Yeah.
any
Most
joy.
of I remember most of Blair Witch 2016 is like a blank stare. Where this to me, this at least got reactions out of me. I was like, but most of the reactions
Yes,
were
this
like,
got
"Oh,
something
fuck
from me.
off, that's lame," or that's all right, that's pretty cool." That's
But that's silly,
like,
yeah.
yeah. Most of the best parts of this movie, I'm like tough. I'm like, you know, tuffling its hair. Like, good job, man. You're not
Yeah,
all
the
that
worst thing a
bad.
movie can be to me is like boring because they don't come out. I think there's like an assumption that with like a bad movie, like, the people, tons of people are aware of The Room now, stuff like that. There's whole showings based around that.
Yeah,
I think there is a culture around celebrating bad movies, but also making fun of them. And I think a lot of people just kind of assume movies are either good or bad, and if you don't make them good, they come out bad. But it's like, no, if you're unironically enjoying something, you are just enjoying it.
yeah.
And
That is, yeah. There's no difference.
there's no difference.
You might not be
It's
thinking
just a
about the
different
movie on a
style of
deeper
enjoyment.
level. You're not thinking about it on like a deeper level, but pure entertainment. I mean, which is what you're dealing with most of the time. Yeah.
There's
What's the
something
difference?
worse than that, though, which is like what most of Blair Witch 2016 is to me, which is just
Well,
not
yeah. The difference there is
enjoyable
like
in the
it's like
ways it fails.
well, the difference there is like that's a major studio picture, and that has all the trappings of like a major studio picture and like how that makes people like us feel. Where when it does all that stuff, it's like you just again, you just feel empty.
Yeah, it was engineered to be boring.
Also,
Um,
like, I don't know, when you're excited for something and it ends up being bad, it's still like allowed to be bad. It's not like this film. It's not like I'm watching this. It's not like I'm watching VHS Viral, and I'm like, no, I deserved a better movie. No, I like this movie came out and I didn't like it. Sometimes shit's just bad, and it like it deserves to be bad.
yeah,
Like it doesn't like this movie doesn't
yeah.
deserve to be good. It wasn't made good. Like most of it wasn't made good.
It's just violent. Yeah, yeah. It fails at what it's attempting to do,
Yeah.
but in what it's attempting to do because it's being made by like people who
It's
are at least
allowed.
trying something.
Yeah. It's allowed to be
When it,
bad.
yeah. I mean, it
Most
fails in
movies,
interesting
yeah,
ways.
it fails in interesting ways. It's allowed to be bad. I'm not being like, oh, they did it wrong. Like I'm not like, when I don't like things, I don't like wave my fist and being like, someone should be fired for that blunder. Fourth,
Oh no,
fourth
who
Simpsons
cares?
reference.
Like, yeah, that son of a bitch.
I gotcha. I keep getting you. Um, uh, but yeah, VHS Viral. I mean, critically, this film did the worst out of any other film in the franchise. 33% on Rotten Tomatoes. People panning it everywhere. Fangoria gave it 3 out of 4 stars, and so did Dread Central, giving it 4 out of 5. So it's got some love in places, but mostly, yeah, it's pretty much the most critically panned of this series.
And it's like, I think it's safe to say that because of this movie, or likely because of this movie, at least in some part, there's actually a huge gap. There's more VHS films,
Yeah,
but there's a gap in time between this and the next release.
which is kind of upsetting. Like,
A big one.
which I was very upset by when the movie came out, and I heard it was bad, and they just kind of gave up on it for a while just because one movie was bad. And I understand, like, that's not in, some of the more talented people's controls. It's like, well, this isn't making... I mean, they dumped this thing on VOD straight away anyway. Yeah, and it couldn't have been that much to, like, make. Like, it didn't make anything really at the box office, but yeah, it's because you dumped it right on demand. So, yeah, the studios, I think, just kind of killed this thing for a bit. But thank God we have Shudder, that a more niche streamer that has the ability to revive something like the VHS franchise.
Yeah.
Which, and for the better too, because I think VHS, as a series is really vital for found footage filmmaking, for just people to try stuff, for filmmakers to, yeah, I just think it's a nice platform for filmmakers trying out found footage as a format. And it doesn't matter if like one of them happens to be bad. So, there's a lot of horror series out there that have much less of a hit rate than this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
So I didn't think
Um,
that VHS deserved to just be put on the shelf because of, one critically not well received film. So that just bothers me a bit. But yeah, I mean, that seems like that's it. One thing I did want to mention, actually, Haxan Films produced this one. If you don't remember, Haxan Films is Eduardo Sanchez's production company. So they helped this one get made, which is funny because they weren't listed as under the production companies in VHS2, and Eduardo Sanchez
I wonder maybe if they
made a short for that.
after their involvement in two, maybe they kind
Yeah.
of became more attached to the other creators and then worked something out, maybe.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice of him to do.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, anyway, that's VHS Viral. If you have any other thoughts about it, let us know. Send us a DM. Make a comment on YouTube. Make a comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Let us know what Let us know if you like this film more than we did, or what your favorite segment was. And while you're there, give us a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast, wherever they allow you to do 5-star ratings. Follow us on Instagram at DarkStaticPod, TikTok, same thing, and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. For myself, you can follow me at Schiffer Audio on Twitter, Instagram. Check out Blackwood, A Gothheim Tale, The Chained God, which is coming back soon, being worked on, I should say. Just go check those out if you like what you hear on this show. Zach, you got anything to plug or anything you want to just, I don't know, anything you've seen recently you want to talk about?
Anything I've seen?
I think last week.
Like after last week.
Last week you were just like, watch the weapons trailers.
I almost said Mickey 17 again.
Oh yeah.
Without realizing. No, watch Vinland Saga, dude.
Yeah, Vinland Saga's great. You're on season 2?
No, I haven't. I took a break after season 1 because I was like, whew.
Oh yeah.
Full meal.
No, good.
I said,
a good
ooh.
break is necessary.
Yeah, I feel like I got what I
good.
needed out of that for now.
I think every episode of Vinland Saga season 2 made me cry. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. That show's beautiful.
It's so good. It's so good, dude. I understand what true actual love is now. I have an escape room called Get the Fork Out Escape Rooms located in Rochester, New York. That may not mean anything to you because you may not be physically located within the New York Bay area.
Fly all the way to Rochester. Do Zach's escape room. You will not regret it. I promise you, you'll not regret it. I haven't done it.
You won't regret it. He's never been?
I've never been there.
But you won't regret it.
But you won't regret it. Would I do it?
A room in my house that I lock you in.
Yeah. Would I do it?
And I take all your money.
I wouldn't do it. But you should do it.
I wouldn't trust Zach as far as I can throw. If you have any experience with contract work, construction, anybody who's connected with those sorts of things, if you like designing tech, if you like designing puzzle boxes, games for your friends, feel free to reach out to the real Stefan Spielberg. That's my Instagram, the real Stefan Spielberg, and you can DM me and maybe we can get connected over upgrading some of our rooms with
Ooh.
additional features. We have been looking to kind of comb over some of the experiences we have and add additional puzzles, add additional tech. That could be something that isn't even necessarily a puzzle, but just adds a distinct element of cool design, maybe just a cool visual. But yeah, if you have any sort of like unique skill in that way, whether that's graphic design or you're a tech head, you're a tech-minded person, you like
Mhm.
programming, whatever it is, and you're listening to my voice right now, and that sounds at all fun to you, reach out and maybe we can, well, not maybe, if you work for us, we'll get you paid. But we'll talk about exactly what that thing is.
You know what? Now that you said that, I am also in the
I
in
got a
the
couple ideas.
yeah, I'm also in the market. No, I'm also in the market for a graphic designer. So if you're a graphic designer and you specialize in fantasy artwork, I want to get in touch with you. So yeah, just throwing that out there. We're looking for graphic designers, and we would love to work with you. We'll compensate you. All right then. This has been another episode of Dark Static. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, check us out on our socials on YouTube. Give us a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Tell your friends about the show. Get the word out there. Next week, we'll be talking about VHS 94, the return of the VHS franchise after a long hiatus. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. And, yeah, we'll be back with you guys next week. Thanks for listening, as always.